Don't let motherhood keep you from doing the things that you love. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jasmine and I'm a beauty and lifestyle content creator on Instagram, TikTok, and right here on YouTube. So in today's video, I wanted to go ahead and answer a frequently asked question that I usually get on Instagram. And that question is how I balance motherhood and content creation. So if you're new here or if you've been following me for a while, I am a mom of two. And I thought I would go ahead and share this because I feel like a lot of moms do get stuck with content creation and wondering how to balance. So I just wanted to go ahead and share my experience, how I balance, being on YouTube, TikTok, and on Instagram as a mom of two, and just go ahead and give some tips and tricks that I feel might be helpful to you guys. So if this is something that you're interested in, stay tuned and let's go ahead and jump right into it. So to give a little background, I started content creation back in 2020. I was a photographer and did a lot of photography for 7 years before that, until I started getting into Instagram and wanted to share, like my pictures and things like that. So I didn't start Instagram with the idea of being a content creator or influencer, I guess you can say. I really just wanted to go ahead and share my love for photography. And that's what I started out doing. So I did that in 2020 when my son, again, was a newborn. I had a 2-year-old at the time. And I really just had a passion for photography. And that's what really fueled my love for content creation. Now, fast forward to now, my daughter is 5 and my son is 3. They're a little bit older now. And over the course of time, I did have to learn how to balance. And one of the things that you really have to do is make a plan. So making a plan is very essential because, with different schedules going on, maybe your kids go to school. I don't know if you guys stay at home, but I do. So I'm a stay-at-home mom. My daughter goes to school during the day. And then I have my son here with me at home. And I still get content creation done while he's at home. So making a plan is essential. And before you make a plan, you want to go ahead and ask yourself how consistent you want to be. So for example, I post once a week on YouTube because that's all I really have time for. I really don't have time to be posting 2 to 3 times a week. And consistency is subjective. For somebody else, posting 3 times a week may work for them. And to somebody else, maybe once a week may work. So don't get too caught up on what others are doing and how consistent someone else is. Ask yourself, how consistent can you be? How often can you show up? For me, I can only show up once a week on YouTube because that's all the time I have. And then maybe on Instagram, I may have a little bit more wiggle room because I'm able to kind of create that kind of content more often. Whereas doing sit-down videos, I really don't have time to be doing that, twice a week. So ask yourself how consistent you can be. If it's once a week, do that. Don't feel guilty for doing what works for you, what works for your time schedule, because everyone is different, whether they're a mom or not. So if it's 3 weeks, if it's 2 weeks, make a plan as far as how consistent you want to be, how often you want to show up, and what works for you. So for example, my daughter is at school during the day and then I have my son here with me at home. And my plan is to at least use 1 day out of the week to go ahead and create a YouTube video. And I create my YouTube videos while he's napping. It can kind of be stressful sometimes because if he doesn't nap, that kind of throws things off. But I like to use that time to, create while he's napping, sit down, do my makeup beforehand while he's like playing with his toys and things like that. And then, I feed him lunch, put him down for his nap, and during that time I've already had my camera set up. In between time, I make sure that my makeup is already done. I like to make sure that I'm prepared before his nap so that way when he does take a nap, I'm all ready to go. I have my camera set up, my makeup's done. All I have to do is press record and I'm ready to go. I'm recording for you guys while he's sleeping. So in this case, this is what's happening now. You can also record on the weekends. Maybe weekends work for you. I used to record on Saturdays and Sundays for Instagram, but I kind of wanted my weekends back because all of my weekends were spent creating content. So I kind of shifted things a little bit. Maybe you might notice that you have more time on the weekends and you can create then. So that brings me to batch creating content. Batch creating content means creating multiple pieces of content in one day, if possible. So for example, I have my makeup on, I'm shooting this video for you guys, but while I have my makeup on, I want to go ahead and make sure that I shoot some Instagram content as well. So batch creating really does help because you are able to get as much content as you can in one day, and then you're able to spread that content out throughout the week. And that will really help you stay consistent. So if you're saying you want to post on Instagram, for example, 3 times a week, go ahead and batch that content. Maybe you create 5 videos in a day. Maybe it's just 3 videos in a day, but at least you have that content. That way you can go ahead and spread it out within that week. That way you're not just creating and posting in real time, because that is a headache to do. So batch creating content really does help. If you're on YouTube, for example, and if you have time to create 2 YouTube videos in a day, go ahead and do that. That way, if you're posting once a week like I do, I'm able to go ahead and just have my videos set and ready to go. Maybe one week my child is sick and I really don't have time to create content. I'm glad that I at least recorded something and I have something ready, so that way I don't miss a week. So batch creating content really does help, especially with busy schedules. Things do come up, and that way you make sure that you have something to put out in case you need to, because again, life happens, especially as a mom, especially as a parent. So batch creating content really, really does help. Another way to go ahead and maximize your content as a mom is to go ahead and just record as life is going. Your life is the content. So I don't know what your niche is, but your life is the content. So for example, I do my skincare routine every morning, whether my kids are there or not. And most times they are there. And what I'll do is just go ahead and set up my tripod and record for Instagram stories, for example. I'll go ahead and share my skincare routine, and then I'll take that piece of content and put it on TikTok. So there's different ways that you can do it. If you're making your morning coffee and you like to share that kind of content, just record it, make that content, make different pieces of your life content, and you'll be so surprised at how much you can get out, whether you have kids or not. Maybe you're a motherhood content creator and you want to show your day-to-day life. Go ahead and record that while you're in the moment. Make that content. So definitely go ahead and maximize your content by just creating what you normally would do anyway. So whether you're getting ready, for example, to create a YouTube video and you're putting on your makeup, record that process so that way you have content. So just think of different ways to kind of take your life, make it a piece of content for the future. For Instagram, I kind of don't mind recording when my kids are around too, because I don't need to worry about background noise. For something like YouTube, of course, I would have to worry about that because it's YouTube. But for Instagram, I don't need to worry about background noise. So sometimes I just go ahead and set up my camera while they're playing, you know, if they're fed, things like that, and I see that they're like chilling out, I can go ahead and record then too. So don't forget to record even when your kids are around. Sometimes you may not need to worry about that background noise. If you can get that, you know, skincare video done, go ahead and do that. Whatever your niche is, go ahead and record either way. I don't want us to feel like our kids get in the way of what we want to do. It's not impossible to do. As long as you have a passion for it, you will find that you can easily balance as long as you have a plan. Thing I wanted to mention when it comes to balancing, you know, motherhood and content creation is I found for myself when I became a new mom is that I poured everything into my child, and rightfully so. You know, they're our children, we love them, but I found that I was losing myself. I was losing my interest. I didn't really know what I liked anymore. And if you're a mom, I'm pretty sure that you felt that same way before too. Like, we lose our identity in some areas of our lives. It kind of takes a lot for us to bounce back to who we used to be, you know, before kids. And I would say this, if this is something that you love doing, don't let your passions fall by the wayside. It's definitely possible to do something that you're passionate about, whether you're a mom or not. And sometimes I feel like we can get so wrapped up in motherhood that we forget about ourselves. And this is something that drives me. I didn't want to forget about my passion for photography. I didn't want to forget about my passion for creating art. And creating really does spark something in me. Like, I don't know who I would be without creating. Whether there was social media or not, creating things is just something that drives me. So when you are passionate about something that you're doing, don't let it fall by the wayside. It is definitely possible. Get back to yourself, get back to the things that you love doing, share about the things that you love, because it will really just kind of like invigorate something new within you, especially as a mom. So if you are struggling with, you know, not knowing your identity, not knowing the things that you like now that you have your children, get back to those things. Write it down. Write down the things that you loved doing before you had kids. And if content creation is one of them, stick to it. Find a plan. You'll always find that you will want to make time for the things that you love. And it may not be easy, because doing this isn't easy. It can look easy, especially because, you know, I'm putting out content here and there. But I've just found a rhythm. The more you kind of know your kids and their schedule, it's even better, because you get to know where you can create content and where you can't. But know your limits, but don't let what you love fall by the wayside because you're a mom, okay? Get back to yourself, you know, take some time to like figure out again the things that you love, but get back to yourself, get back to the things that you love doing. Don't feel guilty for, you know, taking some time out for you just to create content if that is something that you love. You know, your kids will be there, and as long as you're not taking, of course, up too much time away from them, you know, that 1 hour or 15 minutes, however long it takes you to create, is going to be fine. Your kids will be fine, but don't let motherhood keep you from doing the things that you love? Even if it's not content creation, whether you're pursuing a degree or whatever it is, take time for the things that you love, because those things are so, so important. I love finding time to create because this is what I love to do. It's really one of my passions, and I really couldn't see myself not doing this just because I'm a mom. So being a mom doesn't mean that everything's off limits, that life is over, that you can't pursue your passions. There's still so much more that you can pursue even with children. Another thing I want to mention is figure out which platform is your priority. Maybe you only can do YouTube. Maybe you only can do TikTok. Maybe you can only do Instagram. Figure out which platform is your priority and start there. And then you can work your way up and build your way up as you learn how to balance your time a little bit more. But you might find that if you're making shorter videos for Instagram, you can definitely just go ahead and repost that on TikTok and vice versa. Maybe you want to do longer videos and that might take up a little bit more of your time, but that's all you can do. That's okay. Figure out which platform is best for you and which platform you really want to pour into and start there. And then as time progresses, you'll find that maybe you can balance all three. Me, it was definitely a learning curve and how to create for Instagram and putting it on TikTok, or just creating on TikTok and now creating on YouTube. So you will learn as you go, but definitely don't be too hard on yourself. And that pretty much sums it up. So again, I've been a stay-at-home mom for 6 years and every season is different. Again, when my daughter was 2 and I just had a newborn, I was starting out, so I wasn't really able to kind of create as much as I wanted to. But now that my daughter's in school and my son's a little bit older, I've learned how to kind of like divvy up my time to record and do things that kind of work for me. So every season will look different. Your children won't be small always. So whether you have a 1-year-old or a newborn, it might be a little bit harder now, but as they get older, it'll get easier. But just don't give up on your passions. Don't give up on the things that you are inspired by. Definitely don't give up. Go ahead and post what you're inspired by, whether it's once a week, twice a week, you name it. You may want to post more, but do what works for you. Go at your own pace because again, consistency is subjective. What works for others may not work for you, and that's okay. I've only ever posted once a week on my YouTube channel and I've seen growth. So I've never ever posted more than once a week. This is what I'm sticking to. This is what works for me right now. And even if my growth on here is a little slow because of that, so be it, but I am not going to overextend just for subscribers. So don't overextend just to get that growth. You know what I mean? You don't want to lose out on family time and you don't want to overextend yourself by pushing yourself too hard just to create content. Everything needs to be balanced. So definitely go ahead and figure out what works for you. I'm always here to answer questions. So if you have questions about balancing motherhood and content creation, go ahead and drop those comments down below. You can ask them on Instagram if you follow me there, but go ahead and be patient with yourself, make a plan, be consistent in the way that you can, and don't lose hope. Don't give up on what you're inspired by. Make time for the things that you love. Again, if this video encouraged you at all, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next video.